Can foreigners actually buy property in Bali? You've probably been told that foreigners can't buy property in Bali, and that's not true. But the version most people think is true is the one that quickly takes their money, because owning property here isn't one thing. It's 4 different things. And one of the routes people are still being sold in 2026 is completely illegal. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what a foreigner can and can't do legally in Bali to own there. The 4 legal ways to do it. And the single biggest mistake that has cost investors their entire deposit. So let's be clear. If you're new here, my name's David. I'm also known as the Expat Guru. Over 16 years, I've helped international investors buy and verify property across the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Bali. And my job on this channel is simple. I'm not here to sell you a villa or apartment. I'm here to protect your decision before somebody else who sells you a deal. So let's start with the one rule that explains everything about foreign ownership in Bali. In Indonesia, freehold ownership, the kind where you own the land outright, is called Hak Milik. And by law, Hak Milik is reserved for Indonesian citizens only. That's not a new rule or a loophole somebody can get around. It's written into the Indonesian basic law from 1960. So if you're asking, can foreigners buy freehold in Bali? The honest answer is no. Not as a foreign individual. But, and this is the part that matters, that does not mean foreigners can't own here. It just means that you own through a different door. Let me show you the 4 doors. Route 1 is leasehold. The Indonesian term is hak sewa. This is the most common route for foreigners, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You buy the right to use the property for a fixed number of years, usually 25 or 30 years to start, often with an option to extend. You don't own the land, you control it and you use it for the terms of the lease. Route 2 is Hak Pakai, the right to use. This one is actually registered in your name as a foreigner. It can run up to 80 years through initial grant and have extensions. The catch is you'll need to have a valid Indonesian stay permit to hold it. So if you've been wondering, do I need residency to buy in Bali? For Hak Pakai, yes. For a lease, generally no. Route 3 is a company, a PTPMA. This is a foreign-owned company in Indonesia that can hold a building and use right called HGB. It's the right structure if you're running real estate business or holding multiple units. But let's be clear, a PTPMA is a real estate company with setup costs and capital requirements, real reporting obligations. So it's not a cheap shortcut to own a holiday home or villa in Bali. And Route 4, if you're buying an apartment or a branded condo, foreigners can also hold eligible units to using through Hak Pakai. One number to keep in your pocket for a foreigner in Bali, there's a minimum purchase price, 5 billion rupiah. Now, if you're taking notes, don't worry about writing all of this down. I'll be putting the full breakdown, every route, every check into a free buyer's guide for Bali 2026. The link is going to be in the description below. You can run the checks yourself before paying a single deposit. Okay, so those are the legal routes, but here's where people get into real trouble. You'll still hear people just say, just buy freehold through a local. The idea is simple. An Indonesian friend or agent contact holds the freehold on paper for you. It's called a nominee arrangement. And I need you to hear this clearly. A nominee arrangement is illegal. It gives you no real ownership and no real protection, because legally the Indonesian whose name is on the title is the owner, not you. So if that relationship breaks down, a dispute, a divorce, a death, or they quietly use your property to get a loan, you have no standings. And it goes further than losing money. There's criminal liability for both sides, and the state can seize the property held under a fraudulent arrangement. In 16 years, the buyers that I've seen get truly burnt almost always had one thing in common. They chased freehold through the nominee because it felt cheaper and faster. So please, If anyone offers you freehold as a foreigner, treat it as a red flag and not an opportunity. Now, here's what almost nobody tells you at this stage. Owning a property legally is not the same as being allowed to rent it out legally. There are two different questions. And the route you choose, lease or PTPMA, changes what you're actually allowed to do with that property. If your whole plan is rental income, personal use, or a bit of both, that decision needs to be made before you fall in love with a villa, not after. We'll go deep on the rental and the licensing side in a video of its own. For now, just hold on to this. The legal structure and the income plan have to be decided together. So let's make this practical. Which route actually fits you? Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, is this for personal use, for rental income, or both? 2, how long do you actually need it? 10 years, 20, a lifetime asset to pass on? 3, what's your budget against the minimum threshold? Here's the simple version. So if you want a straightforward second home for a defined number of years without running a business, leasehold is usually the starting point. If you want it registered in your name for the long term, you are planning to spend real time here on a permit. And if you're building an income business or holding several units, that is when PTPMA earns its cost. One quick honest note on money. A lot of you are asking, can foreigners get a mortgage in Bali? The reality is it's limited and only a few Indonesian banks lend to foreigners with tougher terms and usually only when you have residency. Most foreign buyers either pay cash or use a developer payment plan. And whether you're from Australia, India, UK, US, anywhere, the routes are normally the same. Your nationality doesn't change the law, it just changes your paperwork. So the honest answer is foreigners can buy property in Bali. The answer is yes, legally and safely through leasehold or PTPMA, not through freehold and never through a nominee. If you get that one decision right, everything after gets easy. So here's what to do next. Download the free buyer's guide. The link's in the description below. It walks you through choosing your structure step by step so you can check any deal yourself. And do me a favor, comment the word own below and tell me your budget in the timeline. I read every comment and it tells me exactly what to cover next. So if you want a second pair of eyes on a specific project or a specific contract, you can book a one-to-one call with me. And that link's also in the description below. Now, we said leasehold is where most foreigners start, but a 30-year lease doesn't always mean what you think it does. In the very next video, I want you to watch the breakdown leasehold versus freehold, what you sign, what you actually receive, and what happens when the lease ends. It's right here. Watch that next and grab the guide, and you'll be ahead of 90% of people that are wanting to buy in Bali. I'm Naveed, the expat guru, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.